Well, welcome. This is Rocky Romero, and this is Peers on Demand. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you to Ken Yager. Ken Yager is the principal for New Point Advisors Corporation. Ken, welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Rocky. I'm glad to be here.
Well, let's get started. I really want to find out a great deal more about you. I wonder if you could share about your business to us. What would that be?
Sure. All right. So, Rocky, I've been in the turnaround space for over 25 years. I started New Point 5 years ago to establish a better way of helping companies that struggle with cash flow and with the operational and financial issues that come with it do better. But what New Point wasn't just there to just change anyone's lives. We were trying to fill an issue that is just systemic in the United States, which is there are so many companies that are smaller that are a backbone of the economy, but they can't afford traditional turnaround experience. It's just too expensive. The medicine will kill you before the disease. So we took all of our knowledge and created New Point and then recrafted what is a turnaround firm into something that is highly structured, that allowed us to lower the cost, and then not only lower the cost, but also make it a fixed fee product so that we could actually reach out to people and they could know what it was going to cost and afford to take on the services so that more companies would have a chance to be able to survive financial crises that happen so often for smaller businesses. And by smaller businesses, Rocky, we mean companies 1 to 50 million in revenue, which is, again, people would recognize just the backbone of this U.S. economy.
Yes, and well, what you do is appropriate for many companies now. So you started to mention the ideal client. Can you expand a little bit more about who the ideal client or ideal connection would be for you?
Sure. So it works out to be companies 1 to 50 million in revenue, or companies that have borrowed from a bank or some financier less than $10 million. Think of companies maybe 10 to 500 employees is a good way to think about it if you can't think of the other two parameters. And then we're talking about a company that is struggling, not having a performance improvement issue where they wish they could grow and do better, but truly are having that horrible, awful, no good day where the bank is maybe cutting them off or threatening to, or vendors are cutting them off, or customers are leaving. It just looks like one of the worst possible scenarios for you. And you're thinking in terms of being able to make payroll, and it's gotten to the point where it's nearly impossible. A lot of entrepreneurs, by the time they arrive at our doorstep, have drained their savings and maybe everything that their families has, and have mortgaged their home a second or a third time. It's come down to really crunch time, as they say. From an industry, and that's, that is a good psychological profile of where we are with our client. The other things I want to add, we work all over the United States. We worked from coast to coast already in this 5 years. And we're industry agnostic, because a lot of what affects the companies that we deal with, even though every company is special, there's not a lot about this company and that company that are the same in all of these industries. Even two construction companies or two trucking companies, they're all just a little bit different, but they all carry a lot of the very similar themes of what they're starving from, which is a structure and a process to manage their business not only in a normal day, but in a crisis. And so that long-winded definition is our customer.
Yes, and a lot of businesses are facing crises. So I'm wondering if, with all the experience that you have, can you share one story, someone that received tremendous value by working with you? What would that be?
Sure. I'll start with how we got started at New Point. We worked with a staffing company that was very small, had lots of issues, and the owner was very proud. Had been in the staffing industry for over 2 decades. Really knew what they were doing from a recruiting and from a sales standpoint, could get new customers, but was a little light on the books. And unfortunately, when we arrived, they owed the IRS millions of dollars, and they owed them not because of income tax, but because they had not paid payroll taxes. This is a common, if it doesn't shake you to your core as an owner of a business, just go talk to your accountant or your lawyer about it. This is the kind of taxes that nobody can shake. The IRS doesn't take a kind, they'll work with you on income tax. You can make plans, you can do discounts, but on payroll taxes, it's a kind of tax that actually can't get gotten rid of in bankruptcy. So it'll follow you around for life. And I can tell you many more horror stories, but this poor lady who really knew what she was doing, but really gotten into hard times, was struggling with enough debt that the IRS had taken a position that maybe she should either get the business fixed or maybe she might need to go to prison. We worked with her, came up with a plan for how to get the business back on track, how to get her positioned with financing, worked out an affordable deal with the IRS through groups of people that we work with all the time. And she is, as I've checked now, 5 years later, she is still in business, doing quite well, growing, and has not made any more mistakes with the IRS. Her life has turned around. She has a business that she's going to be able to sell to somebody in a couple of years. Whereas when we arrived, people were contemplating whether she should go to jail or not, which would have destroyed not only her business, the opportunity for her employees, but also been horribly scarring to her family.
Wow, that's life-saving, not just
Yes.
for her, but the families that she's
Everybody.
responsible as employees. So I'm curious, how would people get a hold of you? What's the best way to reach you?
That's a great one. Yes. All right. So we try to be available. You can find us on LinkedIn. You find me, Ken Yager, on LinkedIn. You can find NewPoint on LinkedIn. You come to our website. We're newpointadvisors.us, not .com. And you can also put my phone number out there because it's like a doctor. You can call us when you have an emergency. It's a Chicago number, 312-656-9750. We also have a 1-800 number, 1-800-306-1250. And I'm K Yager at newpointadvisors.us. So lots of different ways to reach us, whatever is convenient when you're in a crisis.
Perfect, Ken. And I'll put a link at the bottom of this video as well, too. And I do recognize the value that you brought to so many people, businesses, and some of the